Fortunately, the gentleman that was talking with us, he passed away just a little bit ago.
Breaking news right here at noon in eastern Kentucky. One of the two men trapped underneath the Martin Mine prep plant that collapsed in Martin County, Kentucky, has died. Governor Andy Beshear breaking the news on social media hours ago as dozens of firefighters from around the state begin that recovery effort at a local coal preparation plant. It was slated for demolition at an abandoned mine site when this collapsed. Early this morning, Anchorage, Middletown PRP and Louisville fire crews were called in to help. Right now, about 24 highly skilled rescuers from these departments are on scene. We're told that both men were on the bottom floor of that 11-story building when it collapsed, and still no contact made with the second man. Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency to help mobilize state resources, warning the scene is bad and people should prepare for tough news. Louisville Fire says it has about a dozen of its crew members helping in that rescue.
As I said earlier, we still are a well-staffed department. So just because you do hear that we've sent a large number of members out, we still have the protection ready to go for the city. We're still riding full staff. All our apparatus, all our rescue teams are still fully staffed. So if something was to happen here.
Right now, there is no word on how long they will be in the area of eastern Kentucky, but they are prepared for at least 72 hours. They also have backup crews who are ready to go if need be. Stay up to date on this developing story with us on the WHAS11 app for the latest push alerts sent directly to your phone. The state's newest report card is out for Kentucky public schools, giving parents an idea of how their students are doing compared to other districts. Our Alex Dieterer breaks down what that report means for JCPS families.
The new data just released by the Kentucky Department of Education, the assessment of Jefferson County public school students, shows an all-time high graduation rate at JCPS high schools. But at 87%, that's lower than the statewide rate of nearly 92%.
When we talk about our future state, I want to be clear. I think these are signs that we are moving in the right direction.
JCPS Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio says every student group across the school district increased in reading proficiency, with the largest growth seen in elementary schools. 81% of elementary schools increased reading and math scores. Comprehensive School Improvement, or CSI status, means a school is in the bottom 5% of all schools in the state. JCPS had 9 schools exit CSI status during the academic year, but JCPS also now has the majority of the troubled schools in Kentucky. The district has 25 schools of the 28 total in the state identified as CSI status.
But we know we have a long way to go. I want to be clear about this. This is not us saying, that we have met the goals and we are where we need to be.
Alex Dieterer, WHAS11 on your side.
Now, according to Dr. Polio, 22 Jefferson County schools have exited the CSI status over the past 2 years, but the district still has nearly 90% of all of the bottom 5% schools. For a more in-depth look at that report card, you can visit those results on WHAS11.com. Right now, the JCPS board is looking for a replacement for Chairwoman Diane Porter after she resigned last week due to health reasons. Porter represented District 1, which includes much of West Louisville and downtown. She became the leader of the school board in 2012. Now, to be eligible for this vacant seat, you must be registered to vote in the district. Applications are open now and need to be submitted to the board by November 28th. The board will select from eligible applicants by December 23rd. We have that link for that application right now on our website. The juror selection process will continue today in the federal trial of former LMPD officer Brett Hankison. He's accused of 2 things: using excessive force and violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights when he blindly fired 10 shots into her apartment the night she died. Some of those bullets also went into a neighboring apartment. Now, Tuesday, more than 40 new potential jurors were brought in to be interviewed by the judge and attorneys. This was in addition to the 40 interviewed on Monday. The judge did not disclose if any of them had been selected yet, but a total of 16 people will be chosen to participate in Hankison's trial. Veterans Club founder Jeremy Harrell is expected to make his first court appearance about an hour from now. The Army veteran is accused of fraudulently receiving more than $100,000 worth of unemployment benefits from Veteran Affairs. A federal grand jury indictment states that Harrell started receiving benefits in 2011 and agreed to tell the VA if he ever returned to work. Well, Harrell then founded the Veterans Club in 2019. Investigators said Harrell's volunteer work with that organization shows he was capable of maintaining employment, making him ineligible to receive those benefits. A Virginia man who led police in Indiana on 2 separate chases is sitting in a Harrison County jail right now. Indiana State Police said this happened Friday when they were alerted to a white Mercedes driving recklessly on I-64 near Cordon. Police later learned the driver, Mitchell Ray Lassiter, was also involved in an earlier chase in western Indiana. A Harrison County deputy tried to pull him over, which then turned into yet another chase. Lassiter was arrested after crashing his car into a median. Well, ISP also found suspected marijuana and 61 grams of meth in his possession. Lassiter is facing charges including reckless driving, possession of meth and marijuana, and criminal recklessness. A man could spend 12 years in prison after pleading guilty to burning down a historic cabin in Clarksville. The Clark County prosecutor said Jason Fossey set fire to the George Rogers Clark cabin site back in May of 2021. It was a replica of Clark's retirement home. The original cabin was destroyed in the 1800s and then rebuilt and moved to Clarksville in 2001. Fossey will be sentenced on November 27th. Some possible closure for a decades-old cold case. Clifford Smith was killed near Seymour back in 1982. Well, this week, his family was told of an arrest in that case. Our Taylor Woods and photojournalist Addie Hill share their story.
On Halloween, October 31, 1982, Smith was shot in the head at age 24. 41 years later to the date, Indiana State Police make an arrest. 61-year-old Ronald J. Anderson now charged with Smith's death.
I'm glad that they finally are bringing a closure to this, allowing us to let our brother rest in peace.
Indiana State Police say Clifford Smith's body was discovered near this area along the Wright River in 1982. Leonard Smith is Clifford's brother. He was just 22 when Clifford died. He says Ronald Anderson is Smith's brother-in-law.
We've always said that that's who done it.
ISP says in the late hours on October 30th, 1982, Anderson and Smith were at a house together. Anderson took a gun from the home and left with Smith in a vehicle, and he was never seen alive after that night. Police say this case has been passed down to new investigators over the years.
It ultimately led to where we had enough information to present the case to the prosecutor.
Sergeant Stephen Wills says the help of technology and fresh sets of eyes looking at the case help provide answers.
But I imagine it's kind of a sigh of relief after all these years to finally get that word that an arrest has been made in the death of their loved one.
In Seymour, Taylor Woods, WHAS11 on your side.
Now, more than 40 years later, the motive for that murder is still unclear. Anderson is being held at the Jackson County Jail.